Did you put Christmas on a credit card? Don't stress out about that extra holiday spending. SaveWithConrad.com can help you consolidate all of your high interest rate credit cards into one much lower monthly payment. SaveWithConrad.com has helped families just like yours save up to $800 a month. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And did I mention no payments until March? So don't make saving money a resolution next year. Make it happen today at SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard.
Well, you know. That's not a rib.
No, yeah, but
There's no box of gimmicks.
rumor and
I
innuendo.
don't deal in rumor and innuendo. And was he there? I was there. I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle
Something
with.
Something to wrestle with.
Dig it?
Bruce Prichard.
Yeah, freak out, dig it. Yeah.
Hey, it's Conrad the Mortgage Guy, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle With Bruce Prichard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, Thinking. Yeah. Yeah. Right. How long do we need here? Because I can think some more about thinking, if you will. Yeah, right. Dig it? Yeah.
I'm thinking we might actually talk,
yeah. Thinking,
I'm thinking we might talk about John Cena today. What do you think?
Dig it? Yeah, yeah. All right, yeah. Last time is now, right? First time was then. Last time is now,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Before then, it was there.
Most of the wrestling world first hears of John Cena on the Learning Channel. They do a documentary about Rick Bassman's UPW promotion there in Los Angeles, where John Cena broke in, and of course he stood out for being particularly well spoken and having a good knack for cutting promos, seemingly from day one of wrestling school. And there's that famous scene of him filling up a shopping cart with all the meat he needs to eat in order to keep that muscle packed.
Need a lot of meat, yeah.
At the end of the documentary,
meaty meat party, yeah, with all the meats. Cena's got the meat, yeah, Yeah, he got all the meats. Cena.
I'm noticing
Freak
here
out!
it's a little bit like Snots the dog in Christmas Vacation. It's better if you just let him finish, you know. At the end of the documentary, John
If I was to
gets
sneeze all over the screen, you would probably think that's gross, but it's not.
done. What else is on your mind today, Bruce?
I don't know, man. Cena's got the meat, so by God, he liked his meat. Liked a lot of meat.
You a big fan of John Cena's meat?
By God, yes, he's a meaty meat man. Big
All right.
meaty meat man.
So listen,
like-
I want to ask you
You
about
like meat?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wagyu.
Cool. Good.
Wagyu.
Right.
When do you know the difference between Wagyu and Kobe?
Nope.
I don't either. But isn't the same shit?
I don't
Except
think
one's
so.
Japanese, but one's Texan.
Not really sure.
Okay. All right. John Cena's meats. He likes meats.
He did, yeah.
I think he still does.
Probably. I hadn't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah,
I hope he's doing well.
he is.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Oh, we're just here by God doing this here podcast by God. Who are we going to talk about today?
I guess Wagyu and Kobe. I'm trying to Google the differences now. I'll get you that information as soon as I get to the bottom of it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our good friend Tim Sabian could probably tell us.
Yeah, I hadn't heard from Tim in a while. Hope he's doing well. I know wherever he is, he's watching this with some blue frame
glasses. I know that for sure.
You know he is.
Yeah.
And probably eating some fine, good, nice meat.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's
another meat guy.
I guess an epidemic, really. Everybody we know is rocking the meat.
You know it. Just go ahead.
With what?
With whatever you want to go ahead with.
With what do you mean?
I don't know.
Is Randy Savage still here?
He's hanging around somewhere.
Okay.
He's over in the corner with Virgil and Bobby and Hot Rod and let's see who else.
Does Virgil have?
You're over there too, Conrad.
Not yet. Not yet.
You are.
Oh wait, you mean on the wall? I thought you were talking about heaven there for a minute, because everybody you rattled off is no longer with us.
Oh fuck.
Seriously, you were like Bobby and Roddy, and I was like, oh, he's just going through all of his friends in heaven because Virgil recently, he moved to
I was
this
just
territory.
going for my wall over here.
I got you.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm still with you, at least for now. But if I eat too much Wagyu, maybe not. Hey, I wanted to ask you about this documentary with John Cena. Like, I know it's a documentary, wink, wink, but we know enough about how that stuff is made. Was John Cena going to be signed to the WWE regardless of what happened with the documentary, or, did you know it was happening and so we're going to put him on TLC, or how did that all come to fruition as best you will?
Yeah, we didn't put him on TLC. It had nothing to do with that. That was a Rick Bassman thing. I believe that was all shot long before we were doing anything with Cena. I had no idea about the documentary until it came out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was a Bassman deal. That had absolutely nothing to do with us. And, I saw John in California at UPW for the first time, going there just to, looking at the thing about the UPW folks and what that particular school had to offer was they were in California and they attracted a lot of big guys. They attracted unique looking talent. Guys that wanted to be in Hollywood, guys that wanted to be stars. They wanted to be, the villain in the Bond movie. And they were looking for their breaks. And Rick Bassman was somebody that could offer that. He could offer the opportunity for people to be seen there in Hollywood. So he would have his shows. He would offer to train people for a fee and then try and sign them up to a never-ending contract if he taught you how to take a bump and get you booked in a commercial or a movie or things like that. And to be fair, Rick did have those connections, and Rick did get a lot of that done for some people.
What was Rick Bassman's relationship like with the WWE? I mean, we know like the OVW relationship and the Deep South relationship, the different developmental territories that are more traditional developmental territories. I don't think UPW was exactly that. So was there an official relationship between Bassman and WWE, or was it just friendly more than anything?
No, there was an official relationship with Bassman in WWE because we used Rick and we used the UPW training ground as a place to see some of these talent that we may not see or they wouldn't come across our radar because they sure weren't there for the wrestling ability for the most part. And it was a place that attracted guys that wanted to, like I said, they want to be in movies. They want to be on television. They wanted to do acting and different things and saw wrestling as a means to an end. But we would go there and we would look and see if there were guys that could actually make it in the business. And that was kind of the relationship to utilize Rick and utilize Rick's access to these talent. A lot of them were Gold's Gym guys, bodybuilders, and what have you, also in the mixed martial arts world. So he had access to a lot of different, unique looking talent. I did not, really use Rick's school as a training ground. So we didn't really send anyone to UPW to train. When they were ready to train and we looked at them as possible prospect to go on, we would send them to OVW. We would send them to Memphis. We would send them to Florida and get them trained there. You'd have to, if they came out of some places, you most likely would have to retrain them and kind of fix what had already been put in them before. But no, it was a good place to find different and unique talent.
How much of that do you think is just because it was in Los Angeles and the town just attracted a lot of dreamers, whether it was wrestling or bodybuilding or acting or whatever? A lot of people moved to LA to chase their Hollywood dreams. Is that a big component of it, do you think?
100%. Because again, it's just like the aspiring actress that moves to Hollywood and waits tables in downtown Hollywood at the all-night coffee shop, hoping that, that right casting agent, that right director, that right actor is going to come in 3:00 in the morning for some coffee and eggs and a piece of pie, and she's going to be discovered. The same reason that guys go to LA and go to Venice Beach and go to Gold's Gym there to be discovered, for someone to see them, and they're going to be the next Arnold. So California was the place. It was the right place to be, and it was a good place for Bassman's group, because aspiring talent would go there to be discovered. So yeah, it was right placement, right time.
So we know John's going to get his developmental deal, and in 2001, the company's partnering with UPN on a reality competition show known as Manhunt. This is where contestants would evade, I guess we'd call them bounty hunters, that were played by actors armed with paintball guns, including John Cena as one of the lead bounty hunters called Big Tim. But eventually WWE pulls out, and I guess Vince demanded his and WWE's production credits get removed, which is probably for the best because they do some scripted reshoots. And since it's technically a game show, I guess that's a big no-no, and it wound up being a pretty big controversy. You and I've never talked about this before. What, if anything, can you tell us about this UPN show Manhunt, specifically with Vince and WWE or John Cena's involvement?
Yeah, more than anything, I believe, best of my recollection, and I don't really know all the fine details of it, but best of my recollection is it was a UPN venture that, having the WWE as a part of it, was making it more attractive to buyers and to advertisers and what have you. So we weren't really involved, and for us to be attached to it, especially in those days, look, we wanted to have some say in it. We wanted to, if we're going to be executive producers and we're going to be a part of it, then we want to have some say in the production, say in what is going on. And I think that's where everything kind of fell apart. I don't even think that we cast Cena in that. I think that was another thing that was done prior to us.
Wow. Okay. Well, in the meantime, we know that John Cena is going to report to OVW. He's quickly put into a tag team with Rico Constantino. Now, Rico at this point had only been wrestling for like 2 years, pretty much exclusively in OVW, but he was carrying himself more like a veteran. And if you didn't know better, you would think that this polished performer's in his late 30s, so he has to be a vet, but he wasn't. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about him before, but why was Rico such a good partner for John to learn from? And, why was that such a natural fit in OVW, do you think?
Well, look, going back, just even going back to John and looking at what made John Cena unique in his eye, because it's, when I would go to California, and again, I would spend time there, and I would go, Rick Bassman would have shows and different things, and I would go watch the shows, in knowing that you're not going to see the greatest wrestling in the world. And he had some veterans that were there and things of that nature, but they were doing their own thing, and it was different, it was unique. But I would also go to their school to watch the training and what have you. John was the first guy there. John was the last guy to leave. John would pepper you with questions from the second you walked in the door, and then would always ask me at the end of the night, "Hey, can I give you a ride?" At a Delta 88, no air conditioning, and a passenger side window that didn't roll down all the way. So, but John was a really, really nice and inquisitive young man that wanted this so bad. He had more heart and more drive and more dedication than, man, anybody I'd seen in a long time. So the feeling was that he deserved a break. He deserved a shot and an opportunity at living his dream. He was not going to achieve that at UPW and in California. Decided, let's take a chance on him. And the only way that we're going to find out is to get him out of California. So signed John, did all the, the pre-testing and work and all that stuff that goes into that. And immediately, as soon as he was signed and everything was done, we got him out of there and sent him to OVW. And in OVW, that's where the real training began. That's where the training started. So we had to take some of the training that he had already received and kind of untrain him, reprogram him, and get rid of some of those bad habits to then, it was starting all over. And Rico Constantino, I think, in many ways was in that same boat. Rico was the first winner of the American Gladiators, and Rico was older. Rico had worked a little bit longer, and Rico was a good worker. So Cornette in OVW looked at Rico in the way that, oh my God, this is your ultimate babyface. This is what you build the company around. Rico Constantino, he's all American. By God, he was an American gladiator. He was a cop. He was this, he was that. And as a human being, I don't think you could find a better human being than Rico Constantino. Again, dedicated, loved the business, hard worker, good human being, dependable, and all of those things. But Rico was also older. And it was, when you look at what WWE was at the time and where we were going, there wasn't anything hugely unique about Rico that made he was a good hand and a dependable hand and somebody that I would trust my life with and trust. But I don't know that he's the guy that we were looking to put on the top, at WrestleMania. So for Corny to put Rico with John Cena seemed to make sense because they both had the same basic structure as human beings, both solid human beings, and Rico with a little bit more experience wasn't going to take him down the wrong path.
Did the retraining that you had to do in OVW whenever you would bring a UPW recruit in like that, does that hurt the UPW relationship? Would it have been more fruitful had there been some, I don't know, more collaboration or different style of training that UPW could have implemented? Or did you kind of like it because it was different then?
I liked it because it was different then. So sure, we could have put our own trainers in there and we could have just taken over the school. I don't know what that would have done that we couldn't do, because look, Rick attracted a certain type of talent, and Rick had ties to, again, the MMA world, the Boss Rutens of the world, and folks like that. Chemo and folks like that were interesting, and that's he was in that world as well. So we didn't want to mess with that. I didn't want to. He was training them for his stuff out there, and that was cool. So the relationship was, we're going to take a look at your talent. We're going to take the ones that we want, and we're going to move them over here and train them. Because again, retraining them for that, I don't think that would have helped him anymore. We could pick and see which ones had potential, take them out, and then retrain them to what we wanted to do.
We know Jim Cornette had a ton of massive success with OVW. We've talked a lot about, the classes that have come through there. Obviously Batista and Brock Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin and Randy Orton and all these other guys. Cena's actually going to spend about a year in OVW before he gets called up to the SmackDown brand. Talk to me about the type of reports you remember getting or hearing from Cornette about John Cena's progress in OVW.
I think that everybody liked Cena. They liked his work ethic, and that's one thing that you will never hear. You're never going to hear anybody knock John Cena's work ethic and his dedication to everything that he sets his mind to do. And Cena was well liked. He was well liked by the trainers. He was well liked by the talent. And he was one of those guys that if you're gonna paint a picture and you're gonna draw a picture of a guy, of a prototype, if you will, that's something that you would draw, man. You'd look at John Cena and go, yeah, I want that guy. And Cena fit the bill, and he had the mental aptitude, and he had the personality and the ability to back it all up. So I think everybody likes Cena.
By now, if we've learned one thing from John Cena, it's that we should never give up. And of course, part of that as guys is never give up feeling like we used to. Man, if you're like me, you hit your mid-30s and all of a sudden it felt like you were moving through mud. Everything that used to be easy just started to feel more difficult. Well, that's probably because your testosterone starts dropping, and it starts dropping a little bit each and every year as we get older as men. And if you start Googling that, man, you're going to get yourself down in a hole, and you might start thinking to yourself, maybe I need some testosterone replacement therapy. Well, it's worth a Google. And I want to mention that there are pitfalls with TRT that don't exist with Mars Men. You see, Mars Men gives you the same benefits of optimized testosterone. You get that energy, that strength, that focus, but without shutting your body down. I want to be clear, Mars Men has no synthetics, no needles, no dependency. It's more like hitting the reset button on your hormone factory instead of just shutting it down completely. And that's really what TRT does. For real, natural ingredients are all that's in Mars Men. And we finally found something that gives us the benefits without the scary long-term stuff. I'm a big believer in Mars Men because I can actually feel the difference. I've got more consistent energy. I've got better focus at work. Maybe it could even help you have stronger lifts. John Cena wants us to never give up. Well, I'm not going to give up on Mars Men. Mars Men's got me feeling better than ever. Made right here in the USA. It's third-party tested. They even give you a 90-day money-back guarantee. So there's no risk. Here's the deal. Worst case, you don't absolutely love it, you get your money back. But over 91% of users actually report higher energy levels. Thousands of guys are feeling incredible results. Just check out the reviews on their website and see for yourself. But right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get 60% off for life and even 3 free gifts when you use the code WRESTLE at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com. Use the promo code WRESTLE at checkout. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. So we know when he gets called up, he is going to be the unknown who's going to take Kurt Angle to the limit before being positioned as one of the new faces of SmackDown alongside Edge and Rey Mysterio. At least that's the way it seemed Paul Heyman's plan was supposed to be as the head writer. But the Cena part kind of fizzles out within a few weeks. What happened here? I mean, on paper, it feels like John Cena may have been like Vince McMahon's perfect wrestler on paper. You made the tongue in cheek. He could have been the prototype of maybe what Vince was looking for, but it doesn't feel like Vince is totally sold on John right away. What happened there?
Well, I don't know that anybody was sold on John right away. I don't think he was ready. And that was evident. There was no real plan, and that's okay. It's sometimes you look and go, who's ready? Well, nobody's ready. Well, when are they going to be ready? Well, I don't know when they're going to be ready. So there is no right time. There is no wrong time. And it was a time in which we needed people to step up. We needed people to be on screen, be new, be fresh, be different, see who catches the eye of the public, and let's see who can make it. And John Cena was a guy. He certainly wasn't the guy. It was like, well, there's this prototype kid in OVW, and he needs a lot more work. He's got 2 left feet, but let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And again, like I said, there's never a time that anybody, by God, they're ready. I don't know. I can't really tell you anybody that was 100% by God, they're ready. You hope they are. You hope that when you give them the opportunity that they're going to be ready and they're going to be good. But man, the audience is fickle, and they'll let you know whether or not they like something. And by God, they'll tell you if they don't like it even quicker. So John was given the opportunity, and there wasn't really a plan for John other than to debut and let's see what we can do with him. Let's see if there's something that we can do. And very quickly, the John Cena ruthless aggression got old pretty quick.
Hey, let's talk about ruthless aggression. I don't know if this is true or not, but I guess there's rumor and innuendo out there that Paul Heyman wanted John Cena to slap Vince McMahon on TV as a show of ruthless aggression, but ultimately that idea gets nixed. We know it is a famous slap on Kurt Angle. Do you remember the idea being pitched that maybe he should slap Vince?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Would have been nice. I asked, Chris Jericho about Cena slapping him. I told John, I said, you got one chance to make first impression. And Jericho was in a backstage with Vince, and the idea was for Cena to slap Jericho and about knock Jericho out. And, it's unforgiving sometimes, and it's not ballet. So, yeah, Cena he wasn't shy about saying hello.
Any heat on him for that, you think? Amongst the talent, amongst the boys?
No, look, and especially, you look at a guy like Kurt Angle, you look at a guy like Chris Jericho. I think Jericho respected it. I think Jericho, always used to have the thing, man, hit me. You can hit me here, you can hit me here. Just, man, don't hit me in my mouth, and don't hit me in my nose. I think that most guys respected it, and they knew it was coming. And if you know it's coming and you're willing to accept a receipt, then all's fair in love and WWE.
I like that. Hey, we've never talked about this, but as the story goes, I've heard that Jim Barnett was really pushing hard for John Cena in this era. I guess he was a WWE consultant. I don't know that you and I've ever talked about that. Does that ring a bell that Barnett would have been a supporter, an early supporter of John Cena?
Well, Jim and I spoke weekly, and Jim was, I don't want to say I don't know he's officially a consultant or not, but I know Vince was helping him out. And at the same time, it's good to go back and pick the brains of some of the legends in the business. And Jim Barnett had an eye for talent. Jim Barnett knew the business, and Jim had an eye for what was going to work, what was going to get over with the audience, and just had that gift. And I would talk to Jim on a weekly basis. I would get his opinion on the shows. Jim, what'd you think? What'd you like? What didn't you like? Who do you see? Who do you like? Who don't you like? What's working? What's not? And when John had gotten into the phase of where he was wearing everybody's jerseys, he was doing the basketball jerseys everywhere and wearing the different colors, and John would wear the shirt all, throughout the match and everything. And I will never forget, Barnett saying to me, "Oh God, my boy, that's Cena. Get him out of the shirt. Oh, he's gorgeous. Jim was a very flamboyant, out of the closet gay gentleman, and famous for that. And Barnett's, for those who don't know, Jim Barnett was a promoter and just a entrepreneur in the wrestling business that flourished and was extremely successful, and very difficult to do as an outwardly gay man in a very masculine business that really frowned upon that in those days. But Barnett was also an extremely intelligent and very successful. And like I said, he had his eye on talent and knew what would work and what wouldn't work. So Jim was respected, hated, all, you name it, Jim ran the gambit. People were not, you didn't have an indifferent.
You loved him or hated him.
You loved him or hated him. And Jimsy got that and he loved it, but he was just, oh, my boy. Oh, Connie, you're always my favorite. What'd you like? Can I get you some French fries? Do you like pie? He just was that way. But Jimsy was adamant and was so angry with me that we kept John Cena in these damn
basketball jerseys.
Take it off. And so when we were in Atlanta, I invited Jim to the show, and I buzzed John early on. I said, hey, this is Jim Barnett. And he was familiar with who Jim Barnett was. And I said, well, one of his criticisms of you is that you never take the shirt off. And he says, you work hard for your body. You should show it. And I said, okay. And we got there, and Barnett got there, and I found Cena, and John was wearing his basketball jersey. I said, John, I'd like for you to meet Jim Barnett, John Cena. And John immediately just reached up, took his shirt off, said, Mr. Barnett, how are you? It's a pleasure to meet you.
Wow.
And Barnett was drooling everywhere. Oh, God, he's gorgeous. And he said, do not ever put that back on. The women will, oh, my God, they love you. And he just, but that's, look, Barnett was very successful with Tommy Rich. Jim Barnett was very successful with having the teenage girls come out to see the hot new young wrestlers and everything. And that drew money. If you have the girls, then you have the guys. That was the old wrestling promoters' ways.
Club promoters too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you have that hot young baby face. It's going to bring the women in, which is going to bring the guys in because the girls are all there. So I don't think John put that shirt on ever again.
We haven't spent a ton of time talking about Barnett, but I love that we can give him some flowers here. I
love flowers. Oh my God. I just adore them. Roses.
Is there one thing that Barnett taught you that you've carried through the rest of your wrestling career, and sometimes you'll bring it out and dust it off for other people, whatever it may be, some sort of nugget or of wisdom or some sort of statement or positioning that you like, oh man, that's genius, Jim. And you've carried it this whole career?
I think, overall it was, which all successful promoters I think have, is the intuitive sense of listening to the audience and understanding what it is that the audience is telling you. It's one thing to listen and hear what you think you want to hear and not really understand what they're giving you and what they're really trying to tell you sometimes in their reactions. So to that, Jim was very in tuned to, no, they're not buying it. And man, he looked, he was one of the things that to this day that Jim did every single day, that I do every single day, is look at the advance and see what did we do from yesterday to today in every market and study it
I don't mean to cut you off, but explain what advance means. Some people listening.
Advanced ticket sales. So when your shows go on sale and you look at what they do, how many tickets you sell every day up until the event. So Jim would look at the on sale and then he would guesstimate what the gate would be, what the final gate would be. But then you watch that sale as it goes along, and you know what you have planned along the way to further stories, and to, you maybe okay, we're going to hit them with a big angle here. So with 3 weeks left, we're going to hit them with something else. We can see how that boosts tickets. If it doesn't move tickets, wow, they didn't buy that. Or if it did, okay, good, we're on the right path. And the science of advanced ticket sales has changed dramatically, especially in just the last 2 years,
Really?
in general. But in history will tell you, that if you can see the trends, and you can tell when something's starting to wane off, and you can tell if you shoot something and ticket sales, or you announce something and ticket sales really jump, then all right, good, we're in a good place. Or if you shoot something and you look and the next day is like, ooh, nobody cared, or that new gas station opened down the street. So Barnett was very into. Barnett would call if you were on the road, and before Howard would get the agent reports out telling what the gate was, he would want to know, what was the gate? How many people? How many comps? What's the gate? Did we put tickets on sale for the next show? How many did we sell? So that is something that was instilled in me at a young age. But Barnett really also helped me understand that when I got here to WWE. I only got to experience that a few months with him here, but in that very short time, I got to see just how all the nuances and everything, and those nuances change. But I'm never shot away from that. I always like to look at, man, where are we? Where are we in the promotion? Okay. Is this moving the way it should move? And you compare it to what you did before. On day 14, by God, how many tickets did you sold at day 14 of the previous promotion? And look at that every single day. That's an addiction. That's something that some people don't understand and don't subscribe to. But I would put my record pretty much up against anybody on that one, and just having a gauge of where we're going to be when everything's said and done. And I love being wrong when we do more, but got a pretty good track record there.
You mentioned that you think that has changed in recent years. Is it now more of a they buy early or they buy late, or do you see the progression, or what, if anything, has changed from the way it used to be?
A lot has changed. I think a lot has changed as far as how people buy tickets, and when they it's like Netflix. Netflix is an interesting animal, because they don't believe that people make decisions to do anything. Really make decisions to do anything until you're 10 days out. And I'm thinking, well, you know what, if there's a concert I want to go to, or there's a game I want to go to, or things of that nature, I pretty much make my decision when I hear the announcement.
Right.
And a lot of people do, and they will tell you that yes, they're gonna hear about it, and they're talking more about their viewing habits than anything else. Whereas for me, looking at a live event, I think that people make those decisions early, but they may not act on buying the ticket as early as they used to. I think they wait and see, and they watch, and they go, okay, well, oh boy, yeah, a lot of people buy. I better get mine now. And dynamic pricing and all that has really changed the game as well. But I think that at least 50% of your audience is making their decision when they hear about the event.
That makes sense.
As to whether or not they're going to go. But every market is different as well, and time of year is different. So it's around the holidays, it's a different buying habit than it is in the summer. Where are you in the summer? It's funny. We would complain about going to Minneapolis in the winter. Why don't we go to Minneapolis in July? Well, because in July, the folks in Minneapolis are vacationing out at the lake.
I got you.
They're used to going out in the snow and the ice and the cold, and they want to get out of the house. So they're used to doing that. It's just us that have to fly in and freeze and go through all of that. The folks that live there, they're used to it. It's their home. Yeah. So it's kind of the the place in Canada, Kawana. I don't know. I can't remember that. But we would go there, and we would go in the winter. Nobody was there. It was a tourist town, and no one was there other than the locals who were like, "Yeah, we're not going out in this." So it's different everywhere you go.
Maybe they couldn't see you, but the time is now to take a Blue Chew. Come on, hustle, loyalty, and respect your way to the hardest ding dong you've ever had. Blue Chew's not just a tablet. It's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting. Like somebody gave your downstairs a pep talk and a gym membership. I'm telling you, your gimmick's going to feel like it's Super Cena. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. You know, I bet John Cena back in the day when he was all word life, he was carrying around his Encyclopedia Britannica everywhere. And you can too. Guys, we're not just talking about performance here. We're talking about your legacy or your third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Go discover your options right now at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use the promo code Wrestle at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head on over to bluechew.com for details and important safety information. And a big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast and Bruce's Wiener. You mentioned earlier about Barnett, and I thought this was interesting when you said they're not buying it. And you're talking about, you know, as Jim Barnett, like he's reviewing ticket sales. I'm wondering these days, and I'm not saying the WWE position, but from a Bruce perspective, are there other metrics you look at, like, you know, whether it's quarter hour ratings or it's ticket sales or it's merch sales? Is there an order of importance from a Bruce Prichard ideology? Hey, tickets are number one. That's what's most important. Merch is number two, and ratings are number three. Or is there a formula like that where you would rank them in order of importance to really figure out what the audience is buying?
Yeah, you're buying audience. So the audience that is going to take the time to spend the money, get in their car, their friends, their family, whatever, and come to your event and buy merch and sit and be a part of your event. That's the audience that's participating in your product. They're supporting it. They're supporting it with their hard-earned dollars, and they're supporting it with their time. So those are the most important patrons to me, because they're there and they pay money to be there. So I want to take care of them. Obviously, you know, your television audience is a huge part, because that's where you make your money as well, with advertisers and what have you. But when I'm listening to an audience that's telling me what they like and don't like, I listen to the audience that comes out and pays and is is a part of it versus the audience that sits home behind a keyboard and, well, I think they did this. And all. That audience, thank you for watching. Appreciate that. However, unless you're going to support us in other ways other than knocking us and critiquing us, then you've got to, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about this first Cena push, if you will. There is a pivot from the prototype that we see to now we're going to have the rapper persona. And unlike what we would see later in his career, he's as a heel. And I wanted to ask you,
rappers are heels, Conrad.
All rappers are heels?
All rappers are heels.
Okay.
Except Jelly Roll.
I'll have to take
Jelly a rapper?
He used to be. I think he's a country music star now.
God bless him.
Talk to me about Stephanie, because she plays a big part in this sort of pivot for John, doesn't she?
Well, Steph was the head of creative at that time, and we were on a trip overseas, and John was in the back, and John was they would do these like wrap-offs stuff. Brian Hebner would, what is it called? You spit a track, or that kind of shit. I have no idea. And Cena would just bust on everybody on the bus or on the plane, what have you. Actually, I wanted so badly for John to do Vanilla Ice at the Cincinnati when we had the big Halloween party. And frankly, everybody was kind of against it. Heyman, quote Paul Heyman, "You will destroy John Cena's career if we make him a rapper." Quote. And when we got there and we got back from the tour, and John and I were walking backstage and ran into Vince, and I, on the spot, no prep, no nothing, said, "John, do a rap on Vince." And he looked Vince up and down and cut a rap on him and ripped him to shreds.
To his face.
To his face. Yeah, it was great. And Vince said, "Oh my God, that's awesome. Who wrote that?" And he's like, "Nobody. I just did it." And he did it. He goes, I it's what I do. And so a lot of people will take credit for John and promos and raps and things that he did during that time. That's John. All that stuff, the raps, all those things, those promos, that was John. That was coming out of his head. Sometimes he'd write them down, sometimes he wouldn't. But John would do raps with the audience, with people lining up in the back where wrestlers came in, and they would want to rap battle with him, and he would do it. Just freestyle and do it right off the cuff and destroy people. That's just the knack he had, and he was really, really good at it.
Do you want to do a little John Cena rap right now? Do you have something for us?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I don't. I couldn't if yeah. I know. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat. Now me, do, and my friends are gonna try to do. Yeah, that's all I know. That's all I know, man. I said MASTRG with a double E. I feel like goodbye the unforgettable name of the man they call the Master G. Now my name is known all over the world by all the foxy ladies and the pretty girls. I'm going down as history as the baddest brother that ever did be. Now I'm shaking the highs and I'm shaking the lows. And something on to your toes. Yeah.
Sounds good enough. Hey,
you ever gone over a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? Macaroni soggy. The peas are mush and the chicken tastes like wood. Yeah.
How do you remember all this?
Man, I'm a rapping fool. Come on.
Can't believe it. It makes sense.
There was a guy named Boogie. Okay, that's what we called him, Boogie. And Boogie was nose tackle on our football team. And Boogie could rap. Maybe that's how I got his name, Boogie. I have no idea what his real name is. We just called him Boogie. And every game, Boogie would get up and rap. And that's the only rap I know. Yep.
We know that John Cena is going to be very successful in this new persona. Now that he's rapping, he's no longer the prototype. He's getting featured spots, and he tries the character as a solo, and he also tried it with Bull Buchanan, who I think was called B Squared back then, and Rodney Mack. Did you have a preference? Did you think it worked best with I guess in the wrestling business, they'd call it a heater. Did you like him with Bull or him with Rodney or him as a solo as this rapper persona?
I like John as a solo. John didn't need a heater. John didn't need anybody else. Most times it was to try to help the other person by putting him with John.
Right.
So John didn't need it. John was much better by himself.
Did John need any in-ring coaching at that point? Because he is fairly fast-tracked to, so I'm wondering, were they putting him with some of those guys? Because if for some reason he got lost or he needed some coaching, they'd be there to say something. I mean, I don't know how long they were in their careers at that point, but I've wondered, with the benefit of hindsight, was he there to sort of, were those guys there to help him sort of close the gap?
I think, look, man, we had a lot of young talent that needed a lot of work on everything. So there wasn't a huge source of talent that were able to be teachers, but we did have some. We had a lot. And John had 2 left feet. John was clumsy as hell, and his stuff, look, wasn't the greatest, but at the same time, he was different. So while you're seeing, you see somebody doing, oh, they're a great worker, they're doing this, they're doing that. Then you see John and you go, well, man, he doesn't do it as smooth as them. No, he doesn't. But he does it with intensity. He does it with flair. He does it with charisma. He does it with heart. And then he got to the point to where he got to do it pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And the nuances of the awkwardness, if you will, just came across to where it endeared himself even more to the audience, because he wasn't as smooth as everybody. And that's, look, man, that's another thing that's kind of one of my pet peeves of the folks that subscribe to the gossip and innuendo things that, well, the work rate, Koshiwara did Ishikanzua and all these other words that nobody understands what the hell they're saying or what they're doing, except for a very small percentage of people that are really into that. And cool, man, if you're into that, whatever. But the word botch, which is a new word to me, goes up my ass sideways. Because was it a botch? Or did we do that? Did we do it on purpose? Who knows? Okay. But the reality of it is the things that are done in the ring and around the ring are very risky, very difficult to pull off, and they shouldn't look smooth and easy. My opinion. I think that, man, you should miss. You shouldn't be so smooth that it looks choreographed as hell and you go flippity fly and you get right up from something that, by God, it looks like you almost broke your neck. Why? Because maybe you almost did. And God forbid one day you miss by that fraction of an inch and you do end your career and possibly your life, or possibly your opponent's career life. So when people, ooh, haha, they botched, fuck you. Okay. It's go try and balance on a rope that thick. Go balance up there with another human being, 200 plus pounds, 250 plus pounds, 300 plus pounds, and throw them around and do the things that they do. First of all, like just see you try and go up there and stand on the ropes and try and then fall down from there on your back. Just do it. 99%, probably more, of the folks that critique that shit have never done that and are incapable of doing so. So that one just goes up. So going back to John Cena and what he did, he was different. He looked different, and that's what it made him unique. To this day, everything that he did, it was his own deal. And John worked harder than anybody else and continued that work ethic of, first one to work, last one to leave. Watched everything, got feedback, gave feedback. To this day, one of the biggest stars in the world still watches everything, still gives feedback to the young talent, still, early to rise, or late to bed. But it's I have no idea. We got off on John Cena's work, but it was unique. It was unique, and I think that's what made him special.
Hey man, did you grow up in the 80s or 90s? Do you and your friends still talk in movie quotes like it's your own sort of secret language, your own secret club? Then grab a drink and get ready to rewind. I'm talking about the hilarious podcast, Be Kind, Let's Rewind, your weekly nostalgia fix for all things television, movies, music, and video games from really, let's be honest, the greatest decades ever. Every Friday, the boys crack open a few cold ones and dive deep into the pop culture moments that made us who we are, with big laughs, bold opinions, and the occasional, did that really happen? Each week, you'll get hit with segments like Booze of the Week, Boring Ass Facts, Shit Stuck in My Head, and the ever popular Norm Macdonald Clip of the Week, because no one told a joke quite like Norm did. From Back to the Future to the 40-Year-Old Virgin, from Tommy Boy to South Park and The Simpsons, Be Kind, Let's Rewind is your time machine back to those simpler days. Be sure to subscribe to their YouTube page at Be Kind, Let's Rewind. You can even engage with their show on Instagram, X, and Discord. But if you love the 80s and 90s nostalgia, buddy, this show is for you. Check it out. Be Kind, Let's Rewind. By the way, today's ad was paid for by JBL. Well, it's interesting because he's not too far in after Brock Lesnar, and Brock seemingly took to the in-ring side a lot quicker. But I think everyone would agree that Cena probably got the character part a lot quicker. Speaking of characters, you guys positioned him with quite a character. He's going to be feuding with Carlito. It's really, once he's back as a baby face, where we get an angle, and I can't believe this is real, where John Cena was stabbed allegedly on Carlito's orders. This is the first stabbing storyline I remember in WWE history. What can you tell us about this?
Horrible idea. But it was in the vein of going off of, again, horrible idea. There seemed to be a rash of just shooting, stabbings. Can't do a shooting. So make it real life. What would happen, man? What if Carlito had somebody go to jump John in a nightclub and then he got stabbed? Not great, but it was the thinking behind it was do something out of the ring. Do something that you don't necessarily have to see, but you can talk about.
It is interesting. I'll give you that. We know we tried the gun thing with Brian Pillman in Austin, and maybe we learned our lesson there. Do you think it's safe to say, and of course, never say never, do you think it's safe to say that stabbings are on the banned list like guns now?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I definitely hope so. I don't think we'll see another stabbing.
I hope not. Let's talk a little bit about John
You
Cena.
didn't see that one, but you saw the big scar.
Right.
Well, maybe you didn't.
Well, we heard about it. We were told it happened.
Yeah, but he healed quickly. Had incredible rejuvenation to heal. Just heal right up. The scar, you don't even see it. You just put a little. What's that? That gel called the vitamin E. You put the vitamin E on there, and you put that on the disappear. Scars just disappear. It's a miracle.
Allegedly, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've read online, and so it's got to be true, that Brother Love may have actually laid hands on him backstage and healed him.
Oh yeah, that helped. Yeah,
yeah,
I did, but I didn't want to brag about it.
You said I thought you were.
I know, but it slips out sometimes, Conrad.
Okay.
Therefore, you are healed. Place your hands on and feel the love, and I will heal you from within. Touch the TV screen. If you're only listening to this, by God, just touch your speakers, and you too shall be healed. Love comes over me, and it just happens.
So with Cena is that
sometimes.
I love it. You can break out Brother Love anytime. Anytime he wants to come visit, we're here for it.
He's dead.
John
he was stabbed. He was stabbed in a nightclub 2 weeks ago. Yeah. It happens.
Is there a specific trajectory for John Cena? I know this seems like a silly question, but once upon a time, as a fan, we would be under the impression that, hey, a guy would win the Intercontinental title, and then maybe after he might win the world title. Guys like the Warrior, certainly guys like Bret Hart, guys like Shawn Michaels. Well, we know he's going to win the U.S. championship, and that's going to happen at a WrestleMania. And the following year, also at WrestleMania, he's going to become the world champion. Now, otherwise, I might think maybe that's just a coincidence, but while he's the U.S. champion, but before he is the world champion, he films the movie The Marine. And so when the movie comes out, he's actually the world champion. Was that intentional strategy or just great coincidence?
Yeah, it was a hell of a coincidence, really. Well, first of all, I mean, look, the different strategies for different folks. There's no set. There's no say, you have to do this. You have to win this title before you win this.
Right.
That's all horse shit. That's in fans' minds. That's whatever you want to pretend that it is.
I hear a butt hanging though.
No. I was going to go to the Marine. The Marine deal was, bless his heart, man. John would do any and everything, and it was. It was an opportunity, and I don't think John really, at that point in his career, I don't think John really wanted to do the Hollywood stuff.
I got you.
And he did it because he was asked to do it.
I see.
Like, it's a hell of an opportunity, and try this, think you'll do good. And frankly, I thought John did well for his first time. We'll get to the premiere and all that shit, I guess, but
go ahead. I don't know that we're going to talk about the Marine anymore. So
the Marine was, it was a WWE Films presentation and what have you. So it was our studios and our people and our script and our writers, not like our writers, but like our studio folks and everything. And, we were putting out, they weren't straight to DVDs. They were theatrical releases, but a lot of times it just weren't good. and it wasn't that it was bad. It just was, it was interesting to say the least. But we did the premiere, and the premiere was at Camp Pendleton. And outside of San Diego. I was living in Houston at the time, and I get a phone call. It's a few days before the premiere, and it's a group of people, and voice on the other end says, "Bruce, I need an asshole. Congratulations. That's why I've called you. So we got this premiere, and well, it's yours. It's going to be on a naval base. It's going to be military time. I want it to run like a military operation, and everything is going to go on time, and we're going to do it our way, and nobody's going to tell us what else to do. And I need everybody in. I need it to start exactly on time. I need it to finish exactly on time, and I need to make sure that we get the 12, however many talent that we have there, that they all make their flights that night and get the hell home, because we're going to do this the day after TV and wherever the hell we were, somewhere in middle America." And there is a task force on the call of people that have been planning this movie premiere for I don't know how long, a month or so. And now they have been given an asshole who's going to take over and just rip up all their shit and run the day. So I go to TV and I'm like, "What do you want out of this?" And he's like, "No, it's not what I want. What do you want?" So I'd like to go home. But so we load everybody on the plane and we fly out there. So we left wherever the hell we were. We drank all night long. We get into San Diego. We get to our hotel. Then 3-4 o'clock in the morning for a 6 a.m. production meeting at Camp Pendleton. And I show up, haven't slept, probably still reeking of whatever the hell we were drinking the night before, and walk in the room, whole room full of people, some military folks, a lot of our folks. And I introduce myself. "Hi, everybody. I'm the asshole. Who's got the run of the day?" And gentleman gets up, starts giving me the run of the day. I go, "Yeah, we're not going to do that." And I start looking at it, and I just rearrange everything. And then they start telling me, "Well, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this." And I said, "We're not going to do any of that. This is what we're going to do. We are going to do every obligation that we have with the military. We're going to bend over backwards to give them whatever they want. They're the priority here. Then we're going to fulfill whatever obligations that we have to the studio, to the distributor. Then we're going to play the movie. We're going to do a very short Q&A on the red carpet outgoing. Well, we'll do a red carpet going in, but the red carpet will start at this time. It will end at this time, and the movie will be rolling at 500 hours or whatever the hell 5 o'clock is, 1700 hours. And the movie will end at such time. We will do this till this time, and then everyone will be in cars heading to the airport. John and I will remain behind to do anything that needs to be done afterwards. Fulfill any obligation that you haven't fulfilled yet, we will fulfill afterwards. So it's going, but people are upset because a lot of times the studio will be looking at things as, "I have to get this done, or I'm gonna get my butt chewed out if I don't get all of these things done." They had enough things to do that would have taken us 3 to 4 days to do. Best case scenario, much less in a few hours. So they're panicking. I said, "Guys, shoot documentary style. If you have a moment, bam, get in and shoot whatever it is you think you can at that time. But I'm not stopping down for anything or anybody." So I have made really good friends with the commander, Camp Pendleton, during this time, because he's an asshole. I'm an asshole. We're getting along great. And he sees that we're not going to be, we're not messing around. We're moving. He loves it. Everything's going on. And we're on schedule. I mean, man, we are on schedule, but it's tight, and everybody's assholes are puckered, and they're all like scared they're going to miss something and they're going to get yelled at. But we're fulfilling everything. We're doing it all. So now I have one shot because this is live. We've got a huge crowd there, military and their families and everybody, and the bigwigs from Hollywood are all there. And we've got a red carpet. So it's a military red carpet. And I got John and his co-star arriving. Originally had them arriving in a tank, but she didn't want to get her hair blown. And it was the strings that we pulled to get this tank to come down to arrive for the red carpet. We eventually did use the tank, but not just the way that we wanted to. And I was at the red carpet. John was at the staging area, and all hell broke loose. And John just took over. Says, we're going to arrive in a limo now. We're going to do this. Just tell Bruce I've got it. Everything's good. So about 5 minutes late now, and I'm pissed because we're off schedule. John arrives, and I've got the shots, everything. I got one shot at John's initial arrival and John's initial response from this audience. He arrives, gets out of the car, goes to take his co-star out, and this one person from the office who was fairly new, they were a vice president of something or other, came running on to our red carpet, hugged John, kissed John, and then held his face and told him how proud they were of him. And you've made it. This is so exciting. Now you're going to be a big star. For John Cena's arrival to his premiere that was supposed to be flawless, John comes out, brings his co-star out, big, nice, wide beauty shot, and this person just destroys this shot. I'm sure it exists, although I've never seen it. Footage of me approaching this person on the red carpet and letting them know how they have ruined everything to get off my red carpet, get out of the premiere, and I never want to see you ever again. And I'm serious. I never want to see you ever again. If you see me and I don't see you, run, hide. I never want to see you again. And they got out, and I'm looking, and John just says, he goes, Bruce, take 2. Puts his co-star back in the car, gets in, we back it up. I said, all right, anybody else want to run out and kiss John? No? Good. Let's go. And we did it. Boom. We got our shot, and I never saw that person again.
Do you remember that person's name?
I really don't.
Okay.
I have stricken it from the memory.
Okay.
It's one of those, it's like the one, don't make me learn your name.
Yep.
They introduced themselves to me that day for the first time. And they introduced themselves as, I'm the senior vice president of whatever the hell. And I said, hello, senior vice president, whatever the hell, because do you have a name, or is that your name? So we didn't hit it off first anyway, but no, I don't remember their name. I really and truly don't. It's one of those, don't commit it to memory. And I have not. But then we get John in, we do the movie, happy for him. And we do a great thing. I get everybody out on time, even a little bit early. John stayed back. We satisfied all of the families of the military there and did our thing. We go back to our hotel where John had arranged to keep the bar open. And I have, I've been in this business now for over 52 years. One thing you don't do is you never miss your flights in the morning to go home. Ever. 52 years. One time. And that was the premiere of The Marine. We had started drinking that night, and the bar was ours. So the guy was staying till we didn't stay anymore. And they started doing shots. And I'm not a shot guy at all by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a dark liquor guy. I can't do brown liquor or anything like that. It just kills me. And this had something in it, and I did the old Ric Flair kamikaze drop. John caught me and says, "You threw out our drink?" I was like, "Man, I can't do it." I says, "Well, what can you do?" I said, "Oh, anything but that." So we started doing shots of vodka and other assorted things. And eye to eye, pouring them, watching each other drink, until I wake up in my bed, tucked in to my bed, wearing my suit, still in my suit, still in my shoes. Now, you mentioned I said I was tucked into my bed.
Yep.
No, I was tucked in. I was put in the bed, in my suit, and the bed was tucked in. The sheets and the blankets were tucked in around me and at the feet. So I see light coming through the window. And I look at the clock and it says 3:30. And I'm thinking, God, those lights are bright out there. To be coming in that much, it's just wow. And I go to get out, and I'm like, I'm still dressed. I'm tucked in the bed. And I got to go to the bathroom. So I rip the bed out. I get up, go to the bathroom. I come back. I open up the windows, and it's daylight. I call down to the front desk. Says, "Excuse me, what time is it?" 3:35. In the afternoon? Yes, sir. You missed your checkout. I'm like, what in the hell? I had never, and when I say I have never, I've been poured onto planes, I've been carried onto planes, but I never missed flights going home. Had my eye hanging out, never missed a flight going home. And I'm like, oh my God. I call home. It's like, yeah, what happened to you? I don't know. And now I'm looking for, oh my God, my briefcase, because I had my briefcase in the bar. And where the hell is my phone? And I look, and my briefcase is sitting there with a phone on it. I go get the phone. I look at the phone. This isn't my phone. Whose phone is this? And I look, it's got a ton of missed calls on it, but it was on silent. So I started looking at it and find out whose phone it was. And I call my phone on their phone. And I, oh God, thank God, I've got your phone. I said, how'd you get my phone? She goes, I don't know. I passed out. So somewhere during the evening, the only one capable would have been Mr. Cena, got me back to my room safely, put me in my bed, tucked me in, and put everything in, thought he had the right phones and everything. And he made sure everybody got to bed safely and got in their place, and made sure I didn't fall out of the bed by tucking it in on every side. But that is the only time I've ever like passed out, and not the only time I've ever passed out, but the only time I ever passed out and didn't wake up to go home. And I call him and said, John, what'd you do to me? He goes, oh, we had a hell of a time. I said, great, tell me about it. Because I didn't remember a thing. And yeah, but that's, again, that's kind of a testament to just John's character. He will brutalize you, but he'll also take good care of you.
JCW Lunacy. New episodes every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. For over 25 years, JCW has delivered the very best in pro wrestling entertainment, bringing fans deep storytelling drama, gut-busting comedy, and unbelievable in-ring action. From wild characters to unforgettable rivalries, don't miss a single moment. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. JCW Lunacy.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about some folks who maybe took good care of John in the ring. Who are some of the veterans, if any, that you think deserve some credit for helping bring John along during his U.S. title run? Maybe Booker T with the best of
John
5
Layfield.
series? Okay.
Yeah. John Layfield, big time.
Yeah.
Book, without a doubt. I think anybody and everybody that John had the opportunity to be in the ring with that was better than him helped him along the way. And Jericho, those guys, everybody was willing. They saw that, all right, this guy's got it. Don't know what it is, but he's got it. And I would say that as far as taking him to the next level and really anointing him and putting him in that top spot, I would have to give that nod to Layfield.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because when his first reign as champion really gets going, it starts to feel like we see a pattern. John Cena is going to get heavily booed against some of the favorite heels, maybe the more hardcore fans. I'm talking about Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Christian, guys like that. And then by maybe mid 2005, it feels like booing Cena is just like the cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
What was the impression that you remember the creative team had of the booing? Was it clear that it wasn't coming from just, we've heard that like Philadelphia always cheers the heels. It didn't feel like that was this for Cena, but we would hear like against JBL that never happened. And I don't know if that's because JBL was such a hated heel or what the difference was, but
you worked with him.
What, with Layfield?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I get why he's a heel. I get that.
Yeah. Well, he's completely different than me.
No, you're the most likable guy around.
Yeah.
You're really what people might call a white meat babyface.
Yep. That's me.
So the scene of booze, it feels like it's coming from, young men, adult men, teenage men, but boy, the kids and the women, they're there for Cena in a big way. It's a unique dynamic. Do you remember it happening like this at any other time in your tenure in WWE or anywhere else in wrestling where the audience was literally split almost right down the middle? And it feels like that was unique to John Cena, really, for the first time.
Yeah, I think it was unique to John in the fact that I don't think that when they were booing John that it was out of hatred. It was more out of it was fun to do. And I think that people were in on the, it's cool to boo John Cena. So we're gonna boo John Cena when everybody, the kids and everything, are cheering him because John is the manufactured guy that they want us to love. And we're not going to love him if they're going to tell us to love him. So that's kind of the vibe that it was more than anything, of people feeling that he was being shoved down their throat and that, by God, I'm not going to take that. And we're going to boo him. Whereas the kids loved him and his message was on point. And the women loved him because what you see is what you get with John. I mean, it's it's funny, the human being, if you've ever seen Peacemaker, that's John. That is the most true to life role I think that John's, really ever played. It's hilarious in its accuracy, but you can't really see through him. You think you do. You think you think it's not real, but the beauty of it is it is so real. If that makes any sense.
Did you notice, since we're talking about they're not buying it earlier with Barnett, when the boos start, do you notice that it affects his merch sales, or did that never waver?
No.
Okay.
No. Again, that's the thing. It's like they're buying his stuff, they're paying to see him, they're engaged. They were engaged into what he was doing. They cared. Give a shit whether they love him or hate him. They cared. They were loud. And I believe that even those that were booing, always respected him. So, he's an enigma, truly an enigma.
I want to talk a little bit about, the sort of neck and neck positioning at that WrestleMania where John Cena becomes the world champion. It's the same time when Batista does. And you've told us before that the company was really looking for their next Rock and Steve Austin, that sort of thing. And maybe not the same version of them, but we're looking for two new top stars. So now we've got very clear new top guys on SmackDown and on Raw. But is there a particular moment in time where you knew that Cena was going to be the long-term franchise star of the WWE? Is there one moment that stands out where you're like, that's when he separated himself from Batista and went to the next level, whatever that may be?
For me, I think that the moment in time for me was when Cena as a heel and doing the rapping heel worked with The Undertaker. And crossed lines that we had never crossed before with Undertaker. From pissing on his bike and the graveyard disrespect and everything. John was able to walk those lines, but John brought it in such an entertaining way that, Undertaker is an intimidating character, the character itself, and then Mark Calloway as well, in that John went there, and he went there respectfully, but also he went there without fear. So when I saw that, and even going back to doing the rap on Vince to his face, there was no hesitation. There was no, oh shit, man, let me think how I can politically correctly do this. It was, okay. That characteristic early on makes you go, okay, they've got it. He's got it. And so I saw it early on, but I do think that once he became champion after beating Bradshaw, that was it. That was kind of it. He was on his way. And then along the way, there were the moments that we even said, God, we've got to turn him heel. It's just, man, let's go there. And it was the same reaction that I got trying to turn Hulk Hogan heel. No, you can never turn him heel. So there was a desire to do that. And I dare say that holding the line was the right thing to do at that time because it made John who he is today. But it could have been fun. But I think that when you ask about that one moment in time where he stepped across the threshold, it was probably early on with Taker, but then, took it and grabbed it with Layfield.
Did you think the criticism of his in-ring work was fair because it feels like there was a lot of criticism, you know, when he's having matches with Edge, Bobby Lashley, Umaga, CM Punk. I thought those were, I mean, the fans were really into those matches. So I don't understand where the criticism comes from. Like, you know, people were saying, oh, he's the 5 moves of doom and all that sort of thing. But I mean, respectfully, Steve Austin became the top guy for middle fingers, punches, and kicks and beers. And we didn't need much more than that for Hulk Hogan either. Like, I don't know. Was that even a fair criticism at any point to you? Or was there a point where you felt like, oh, John's leveled it up, he's got it now?
Okay, who are those people making those criticisms?
I just mean fans online.
Fans online.
Okay.
Fans online, Dave Meltzer, those people that have zero credibility, that again, oh, he's horrible. He's a horrible worker. I go back to Hulk Hogan and asking Hulk Hogan, who's the best worker in the business? At Vince McMahon, because Vince makes the most money. Me, I'm second best. So who's the best worker? John was making the most money than John was.
All right, buddy, tell the truth. If you're listening to this, you're probably a guy, and being a guy means last minute shopping. I don't know why we put it off to the very end, but Lord, we seemingly do that for at least 1 or 2 gifts every single year. And if you're like me, you don't want to battle the traffic to just get in there and find a bunch of freaking empty shelves. You know somebody in your life who you always struggle to shop for. I don't pretend to know who that is, but I bet it's somebody you don't know as well as you want to. Maybe you used to know them, but now there's distance and time that separated you, and you find yourself asking, hey, I need to show them that I care, but I don't really know what they need. But I know they like spending time with me. I know I like learning about their life. I know exactly what you're dealing with. I've had to deal with it. Ric Flair's my father-in-law. Where do you get that guy, right? What do you get Ric Flair's ex-wife number 1 for Christmas? That's hard to do. So what did I do? I found out about Aura Frame. Let me explain how this works. If you've got somebody in your life who's long distance, but you want to feel closer to them, you want to stay connected, especially when Morgan was younger, buddy, there was nothing we could share with our extended family that would make them happier than updates on our lives and our kids. And that's what Aura does. It brings families together. It brings long distance friends together, and it makes it easy. You can upload unlimited photos and even video. It's really simple. You just download the Aura app and connect to Wi-Fi, and bam, you're done. You can even preload your photos before it ships, and you can continue to keep adding those photos anywhere, anytime. This is a truly personalized gift to the point where you can even add a message before it arrives. But I love how easy and effortlessly it allows you to share photos and video. It just comes straight from your phone all year long. So you don't have to go download something or upload something. It's right from your phone. You don't have to use the computer. The gift box is included, by the way. Every frame comes packaged in a premium gift box with no price tag. You just can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. And right now, for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frame. It's rated number 1 by Wirecutter. Once again, I want you to use the promo code WRESTLE at checkout. That's auraframes.com. That's AURA frames.com. The promo code is WRESTLE. And this deal is exclusive to listeners. Frames are going to sell out fast, so order yours now in time to get it for the holiday. And support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply, but it's auraframes.com and the promo code is WRESTLE. And what an interesting time it was too. And Layfield's always given John a lot of credit. Once upon a time when he had a podcast, maybe people remember that, but
John done a podcast before?
Yeah, he did one with Briscoe and this other fat guy from Alabama. But when in the post Attitude Era, when we had beer and middle fingers and crotch chops and scantily clad women, we're also now going to be transitioning to a PG era, a family friendly image, and to be able to still maintain financial success for the company when you're removing the scantily clad women and you're removing the beer and the middle fingers and the crotch chops and all the adult themes, and we're going to more PG. I mean, could anybody else have navigated this as well as John Cena did?
I'm sure that somebody could have, but John did do it, and John did it with grace, and John did it in a way, as I said, that was able to cross over to mainstream media and to everyone else and give them something to believe in which they saw there was nothing to see through. And so, for that, John was that guy. John was that standard bearer that was able to do that. And when people talk about the good old days and they talk about the attitude era and scantily clad women and the language and everything else that we did, it was what are we talking about? 3 years? Realistically, you're talking about a 3-year period that was balls to the wall and crass and that attitude era, and it hit hard and it hit fast and it was very successful for its time. I don't know that it stands the test of time when you go back and look at it today. I don't know that you can look at it unless you're looking at it through rose-colored glasses. But if you want to look at it through in the time, man, it was great. It was a blast. Everybody was doing business. We were on top of the world. But then times change, and you also have to look at the business model being a publicly traded company when your responsibility is to the stockholders, and you have to do things that are in the best interest of the company, not what you want to do because you want to do it because you want to be edgy and you want to be all these other things, and you think this is right when your advertisers are saying, no, we don't want to advertise with you because we feel that you are too edgy. We can't do the crass language. We can't do the scantily clad women. We can't do the adult content anymore. If you could give us some more PG product, we can open the door here. We can open the door here. We can open the door here. We've got a lot more money. They're going to spend a lot more money on Mars and Nestle and toys and just everything else versus the adult advertisers, because there are more PG advertisers than there are R-rated advertisers.
That's right.
That will spend a lot more money. And to that, you look at, okay, we need to change our product. We need our product to adapt. We can't go to advertisers. Well, gosh, can't you do your advertisements from Mattel? Well, you've got all these middle fingers in the air and what have you. No, you can't. And same reason that it was difficult to, if you have a beer, you can't have the other advertising. All that's changed with the different mediums today and time frames and everything else, but it's changed. At the time, man, you couldn't do it. And so your responsibility to your stockholders takes precedent, which it should, and cleaned up the act. That's what you got to do. And John Cena was the right guy to do it with.
Let's debunk some more rumor and innuendo. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, fans online somehow get it in their head that John Cena was a constant politicker, always engineering storylines and finishes that seemingly buried his opponents. Now, to be clear, this was never in a newsletter, so don't hit me with a dirt sheet narrative, but
I've seen it in newsletters, them saying that.
Nobody's reporting that, but where does that come from? Like,
if nobody's reporting it, then how would anybody hear it?
Well, sour grapes from former performers, like when they would do a shoot interview or what have you, oh yeah, this was supposed to happen. And then, but fans started to really buy into that. And then when you see interviews with John Cena, you're like, I don't know if that makes sense. Can you set the record straight for us?
Never experienced it. Never experienced. And I would think that I would have been, at least during the time I was there and during the time, even now, I will say I have never experienced John Cena doing that to anyone. And to the contrary, John Cena has always been the type of performer of tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it.
Right.
What if we did it this way? Okay. How about if we did it this way? What do you think of this? John's always going to try and make it better. But I've never experienced me. I have never experienced John ever coming and trying to hold anybody down. To the contrary, I've seen John go, God, what if we did something with him? What if we did something with her? What if we did something with them? Coming up with plenty of ideas for other people to try to elevate, because he was always looking for the next person to work with.
Right.
So those, and the only thing I've ever seen is stuff that has come from like the Meltzers and the shirts, the sheets that are probably just repeating whatever somebody may have said on whatever.
There's a handful of talent that didn't enjoy as much success as they would have liked in WWE. Right. And they've been vocal about anti-John Cena stuff. But I always kind of view that in the same lens that people used to say that about Hogan too. Like that's just the cost of being one of the top guys, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They said it about Hogan. They said it about Savage, said it about Warrior, said it about Brett, said it about Shawn, said it about Steve, said it about Rock. They've said it about anybody that had achieved a level of success that they had not been able to achieve.
Right.
Well, of course I'm not there because they don't want me there. It's much easier to blame someone else and look in a mirror.
So listen, let's talk about it. You spent about a decade away from WWE and you come back and John is winding down his time as an active wrestler. What had changed the most about him? Just the maturation of the guy, the guy behind the scenes, the human being, because when you leave, he's obviously, a few years into his run, but man, a decade later, he's still on top doing it in a big way. And I have to imagine that the human being was a little different by then, right?
Not really.
Okay.
And again, that's kind of the beauty of it all, is that John, pretty much, again, it's what you see is what you get. And for me and my dealings with him have always been good. And he's always been brutally honest. And I just give me 100 of him, we'd have a hell of a roster. So it's his work ethic, if anything, may have gotten even stronger, but he is much more detailed, now even more so, just because he has so many irons in the fire and is doing so many different things.
Right.
So he has to be. He's very structured, but he always was. He was structured in the way that he worked out, the way that he ate, the way that he handled his business. Everything was very meticulous. And he has to do that just because he's doing so many different things. But the human being, I think he is first class all the way. The amount of work that he does for Make-A-Wish, during COVID, everybody heard the story about the kid that left Ukraine, and his mother, the only way his mother could get him to leave was she told him that she was taking him to meet John Cena, and they fled across the country and got somewhere else in I believe in the United Kingdom somewhere, and they interviewed the mother, and she says, your son, autistic son, and how did he handle this journey? He says, well, I just told him that he was going to meet his hero, John Cena. And, one day he will. It's during COVID. John was on a movie set overseas. There are not a lot of international flights without so many restrictions and what have you. And John had a weekend off, was able to get a jet flew to this kid to meet him. Flew to this kid, got a car, drove however many hours to go meet with this kid to meet him, and so that the mother didn't have to worry about, so she wasn't lying to her son. And he had this incredible journey, but John just heard this story. Wasn't, other than the family and everybody shooting stuff, there were no camera crews there. There was no wasn't anybody interviewing him or anything like that. But then afterward, the family and the mother were like, oh, John Cena did this and did that. John didn't do that. John just went to go see this kid. Thought it was a hell of a story and wanted to make it okay for that kid. The other part of it is he's calling us going, I have no merchandise. I don't know. Can you guys, you couldn't ship things during this time. Like if you were shipping a package, it would take 2 weeks to get there through all the different machinations because of COVID or whatever. We were able to get people overseas that had, some of our stuff in a distribution warehouse or whatever, be able to get stuff, then drive it here, to drive it there, to drive it there, to deliver to John so that John had something to give the kid. And that's who John Cena is. That's the human being. Didn't want any credit for it. Didn't want big hoopla about it. Got big hoopla just because people were so blown away by that story. But that is the human being. And that's the guy that I know. That's the guy that would walk through Kohl's to do something for a Make-A-Wish kid. It's not a question of will you do it? It's when would you like me to do it? What do you need? How can I help? And I've seen him get mad, but John Cena mad and flying off the handle is not something that you'll ever see. Will you ever see John go, hey guys, can I please talk to everybody real quick? Don't want this to ever happen again, blah, 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 blah. And that's going to be a pissed off John Cena. Never seen him throw things and get pissy or unprofessional in any way. And I know it sounds like it's, oh, goddamn, company line. Oh, boy, you're not going to say anything bad about John Cena protecting him. No. I don't understand why people want to just look for negatives when there is so much positive that you can't. You're just trying to create negatives that don't exist in a narrative that just doesn't exist. And again, man, give me John Cena any day of the week. Having dinner with him, and as we leave, my wife hugs him and says, oh my God, he goes, John, you smell great. And John hitting me in the car saying, hey, Bruce, hey, what's your home address? I said to him, what's up? He goes, oh, nothing. He goes, I noticed I didn't have your home address. The next day, getting his cologne sent to my house because my wife says he smells great.
That's awesome. What a great story.
But I mean, that's
who he is.
People without this forum, there's so many people been touched and have so many different John Cena stories like that it's just an everyday occurrence. And you see the videos and all these things where when people are being rude, and John will call you out. He will call you out, but he does it respectfully. And he's right, man. It's like, he'll bend over backwards for you, but man, don't invade his privacy. He's just a human being too. He's a famous human being, but it's like, give him a break.
Did you put Christmas on a credit card? Don't stress out about that extra holiday spending. SaveWithConrad.com can help you consolidate all of your high interest rate credit cards into one much lower monthly payment. SaveWithConrad.com has helped families just like yours save up to $800 a month. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And did I mention no payments until March? So don't make saving money a resolution next year. Make it happen today at SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. Let's talk a little bit about some of his best opponents. Are you more partial to the feuds that happened when you were there? Like, I'm wondering, does the CM Punk feud move down the list because it happened when you were around? Or
you know what? I was actually going to say that was one of my favorite.
Okay.
I enjoyed the hell out. I enjoyed the hell out of it because of Punk at the time, and the heel Punk, and just that the whole dynamic. That was excellent. Absolutely excellent. I loved his stuff with Edge. Loved his stuff with Brock. The stuff they did with Rock, I thought was excellent. And, obviously I will go back to the early stuff with Bradshaw. I'll go back to the stuff with Kurt Angle and Undertaker. I think John is, John makes it. He makes it work. And, more power to him, man. He's still making it work.
What'd you think of the way John's in-ring style has sort of transitioned? It feels like when you look at his early stuff, he was more meat and potatoes brawler, and it's evolved now. I mean, it's
has it?
I think so. I think if you see his early stuff and you see his more recent stuff, you would agree.
Yes, I do. I think he has evolved, and I think that he changed with the times as they wanted him to change. So I think he evolved as the business evolved, while still being true to who John Cena is.
It feels like when you think about the story of the WWF, I mean, Hulk Hogan helped make it a national or global brand, and Bret Hart carried it through the rough times and kept the lights on with his international drawing power, and Steve Austin made the company so hot it went public. What will be the defining trait of John Cena atop WWE, do you think?
I think John brought it to the next level, and brought it to the next level with grace, and put it in mainstream media in a very respectful way. So John doing his tour of duty on the Today Show, a wrestler being a co-host on a morning, talk show, morning news talk show every single day. And, John did that tremendously. He's the voice of Honda. He's the voice of, pistachios. And he has ingrained himself in our mainstream world. I dare say more so than any other wrestler, in our time. Hulk was Hulk. Nobody's ever going to touch Hulk, and Hulk was first, and we wouldn't be here probably if it weren't for him. What he did for the business and for the talent. I think that John kept it going, and then John took it to another level. Rock did his thing, and Rock did his thing in Hollywood, and is still one of the most recognizable humans on the face of this earth. But while Rock is that, Rock is not, you don't hear his voice every commercial break somewhere, somehow. John, I feel like every commercial break, his voice is doing something, or he's in something, and it's just accepted, and it's just, oh, hey, it's John Cena. And people, they just know who he is and like him.
I think we all like John Cena, and I think we're all thankful that we got to spend so much time with him. And what an interesting idea it was to do a big farewell tour. We want to know from you guys, what are some of your favorite John Cena memories? Drop them in the comments below, and maybe we'll highlight some of those next week here in the program. But man, it's, you know, a lot of guys, they don't know when they're going to have their last match. They realize later, oh, I guess that was my last match. I'm kind of glad that John Cena got to go out on his terms. That's the way it's supposed to be, don't you think?
Yeah. Look, the self-awareness too, to say, I'd like to have a last run. I'd like everyone to know this is my last run. I don't need to win. I just want to have a last run. I would like to go around and basically say goodbye. And he deserves that. He's a huge mega star and a huge part of this company and our culture in general. So, look, I don't think it's the last time you're going to see John Cena. I do believe John Cena in that it will be the last time you will see him in the ring wrestling.
Right.
That I believe. He's a man of his word, and he's steadfast in his conviction that he is, this is it. And whether, he comes back, obviously there's a Hall of Fame somewhere in his future. And, from time to time on a special occasion for John to appear somewhere and do something, but I don't think you're going to see him ever in the ring ever again beyond the December event.
Well, we greatly appreciate you spending so much time with us today, Bruce, and talking about John Cena. I know he's somebody that you really care about and have spent a lot of time with. Obviously it's all about John Cena, but is it kind of bittersweet for you too? Like, you're happy for your friend John that he's getting to do exactly what he wants, but part of you is like, oh man, wish we had some more time together. Because you've mentioned earlier, hey, give me 100 John Cenas.
Oh.
It's got to be a little disappointing for you too.
It kills me. I've known about this for 2 years, and we've planned this. And as you get into it, it becomes commonplace. And then you get down to the point of like 4 dates left, or, oh my God, wait, guys, we only have 10 dates left, and it's very surreal. I'm extremely happy for him in that he's had this opportunity to travel across the world to say goodbye to his fans, and for his fans to be able to see him live in the ring one last time. And that's special. And you don't always get to see that, and or to know it and experience it and take the ride with one of your favorites. So it's extremely bittersweet. And I love John to death as a performer, but more so as a human being, because he's a stand-up class human being. And everything that he does, John is not one of those guys that is going to embarrass you. And just, I'm so happy for all of his success, and he deserves every single thing he gets.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We're big John Cena fans, and we're dreading that one day we won't be able to see him, but we hope to see you next week right here. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications bell, and let everybody know Bruce is back, and so will Something to Wrestle next Friday right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
Hey, Conrad.
Hey, bud.
You know what?
What's that?
Sometimes Jimmy Jam came along. Those were the best times. Now they're gone. It's been 10 years since you ain't been around. Lord, I miss my best friend. Hey, we got it. We got it to 1 million views.
Freebird Road over on YouTube. Go check it out and tell your friends. Bruce Prichard's back, baby. SomethingToWrestle.com. See you next week right here.
Rock on.